I am $1 million in debt, and it didn't happen overnight. It was like a gradual thing. It's like I got addicted to spending for this little short period of time, and before I stopped, it was too late. I'd already accumulated over $1 million in debt. The things that I was buying, they started out cheap, but as those things started to get more expensive, that's when I finally, started to focus and say, okay, it's about time for me to stop spending. So what am I going to do with all this debt? Well, I'm hopeful that I can borrow another $1 million and go $2 million in debt. All debt is not created equal, and that is what I want to talk about in this video, because I believe that debt can be a good thing for you if you use it responsibly. But if you don't use it responsibly, then I think that debt can destroy you and your family and all of your finances. I'm not afraid to use debt. I got over being afraid of debt a long time ago. And I think part of the confusion and the fear with debt is that you have these extremes from the side that are against debt. And they believe that you shouldn't use debt for anything, not for buying a house, not for buying a car. They believe you should pay cash for everything. And I'm not a part of that crowd. So I think that that fear promoting kind of drowns out the side that is talking about good debt. As I stated in my previous videos, I am into rental real estate. I own a small portfolio of rental properties, and I actually have a mortgage on each one of my rental properties. They are 30-year fixed rate mortgages, averaging about 4.25% interest rate on all of them, and I'm not even in any rush to pay them off. So why am I cool with this debt? Well, it's because I'm a bum. I skip out on paying my debts. No, it's because I outsource the debt to a tenant, and that tenant willingly pays for that debt in exchange for the right to live in the property instead of living in an apartment, for example, for the flexibility to relocate, and also they don't have to take care of any maintenance or repairs. It is a consensual relationship because I don't take nothing from nobody. All I do each month is take the money from the tenant, and then I transfer money to the loan servicers, and I take care of that debt. And then there's a significant amount left over, and I use that amount to pay for vacancy loss, capex, repairs, property management, any other operating expenses for that property, and then there's profit left over. And this is what I call good debt, because it allows me to use somebody else's money to buy an asset, and then it allows me to go on and rent that asset out, and I collect the money from someone who wants to rent that asset, and then I use that money to pay the debt, and I profit from it. You can't beat it. Even if the money that you make off the asset is only enough to cover the cost of the asset, and I mean all of the costs, all of the operating expenses, and it doesn't give you a profit though, I still say that that can be a good debt because the asset itself can still rise in value and thus create wealth for you. Using real estate as an example, in most instances, a house is going to appreciate over time. And it's going to depend on the location of the property, the neighborhood, and so forth in regard to the rate of appreciation. But over time, most properties are going to appreciate, and you can pretty much count on that because I've even seen hood houses appreciate over time. Another good debt quality is that when the asset does appreciate, the appreciation is all yours. Even though you borrow somebody else's money to buy the asset, you get rent from someone who is paying for the asset. All of the appreciation that happens is 100% yours. You don't have to split it with the tenant. You don't have to split it with the lender that you borrowed the money from. 100% of that appreciation is all yours and makes you wealthier. The equity that I've built and the appreciation from the properties has quadrupled the amount that I've been able to save in my 401k. So I'm a big believer in good debt because it's paid off for me. Now, another example of me taking on debt with real estate is when I'm flipping properties, right? I use hard money loans, which can range anywhere from 7% to 10% interest rates, as well as the points that you have to pay on the loan amount. So it adds up to be a significant amount of money, right? And if you're flipping, 2 to 3 properties at any given time, I was in debt, $400,000 to $600,000 just on the properties that I was flipping. So if you take that with the 1.2 million that I was in debt for the rental properties, you're talking about almost $2 million in debt. And I still considered it good debt. And the reason I considered this debt to be good is because I was able to go out and buy assets at deeply discounted prices. I was given the money to rehab those assets, and I was able to go out and sell them for a profit. And for about 3 straight years, I was able to net a profit of about $100,000 for each year. So to me, without that debt, I wouldn't have been able to flip one, two, three properties. I didn't have the money in hand to do it, so I had to go and borrow it. But I call that good debt because it allowed me to do it and make a profit. As for the 7% and 10% interest that I was paying on the loans, as well as the points that I was paying, well, I simply calculated that into what I could offer the person that I was buying the asset from. So as a result, that person paid that debt for me. As an example, let's say I didn't put any amount of financing within the offer price that I was going to give the person for buying a house, for example. And that price that I could pay them was $150,000. Well, after I calculate in my cost for borrowing the money, and let's say it came to $10,000. So you know what that meant? That I was going to go and offer that person $140,000 for that house. And if they accept it, that means that they accepted paying for my financing costs as well. So that's why I say that I outsourced the debt, and I consider the debt that I took on to be good debt. Now, I'm not saying go out and start running up debts, borrowing money from people or institutions to try things that you've never tried before, because I just think that that's a recipe for disaster. If I had not proven the concept myself by putting my own money into play, I probably would have never gone out and started borrowing money from institutions and other people. So it's very important that you put your own money into play first and proof your concept, because it definitely hits different when you are able to put your own money into play and you see that you were able to come out on the positive side. Then it makes you more comfortable with borrowing money from other people because you've already done it. So the moral of the story is that all debt is not bad. We have to start learning to coexist with debt, because you can actually have a positive relationship with debt. But if you treat debt poorly, debt can be a cold piece of work. That's all I have for you in this video. If you took something of value, please like and share with your friends and your family. And in the meantime, take care, be safe out here in these social media streets.